So we have now switched over to 1-7 where we're actually using a calculator to find answers instead of doing it the hard way like we did in Algebra 1. So we are, let's see, what page is this in your workbook? I put it at the top. So we have flipped over to page 52 in your workbook if you are following along. Again, this is another plug. If you haven't picked up your workbook from school, I highly recommend it. All right, so when it says what is the solution to this, it says each, but I only did A. So let's just work on A. First thing I'm going to do is make a matrix like we did in our previous example. And my numbers are going to be 2, -5, 11, 4, 3, and 9. If you would like, you may put your line there. However, when we put it in our calculator, we don't always have that line there. So just know that for calculator purposes, we may not have that line. All right. And the next thing I want you to do is go to www.desmos.com/matrix. Even if you have been doing Desmos from an app, I personally have not found Matrix as an app. So even on my iPad here, I have to open up Safari, which is the desmos.com/matrix website. So you'll see this. And we're going to do a new matrix. We need to edit how many rows by column it is. So if I go back here, I have 2 rows. I have 1, 2, 3 columns. So 2 rows, 3 columns. Hey, now I have the amount that I did in my example. Looking at my example, I do not remember my number, so sorry, I'm going to have to flip back again. 2, -5, 11. So 2, -5, 11. One more time, 4, 3, 9. Okay, so notice that that's saved as A. Okay, so see A. We are going to use RREF. It stands for Row Reduced Echelon Form. That's a whole lot of fancy things. There's a long way that your calculator takes to solve it. I, in fact, took an entire semester worth of math to learn how to do it by hand. Lucky you, you get to use Desmos to do it instead. So first you click RREF, then I put A to state that I want the matrix above to go in there. And notice at the end here, it gives me 1, 0, 3, 0, 1, -1. That's important. So let me make sure that's right. I'm already doubting what I had. 3, -1. See, that's why I checked my work. All right, so change that to 3, -1. So this is basically our final answer. We just have to understand what it means. Our answers are always found in the last column, and they go in order. So this is X, and this is Y. So this system, meaning that they cross paths when X equals 3 and Y equals -1. If you write that as a point, you could also write that as 3, -1. And that is the answer for the first problem. So the next problem is just like it. So I'm actually going to keep it in the same video so that we can do this together. But you will notice, so if I think about this being X, Y, Z, and the constant, my first row is fine. It's 1X, 1Y, 1Z, and the constant is 13. In the second row, there is no X, so I'm going to use 0 where X is. So 0, 1, -1, so tricky because that's a minus sign, 3. And then icing on the cake here, the third row is not in order, so I do have to remember a little bit of algebra skills and move that over. Remember, when you move it to the other side of an equal sign, it changes signs. So this becomes negative 2x plus z equals, there's nothing left there, so the number to denote nothing is 0. So I have negative 2 for x. Notice I have nothing for y, like there's nothing there. So 0 for y, 1z, and it equals 0. Now I have a problem that looks exactly like the problem before it, except a little larger, but that's okay. So what that means is when I go over to Desmos to type this in, I can actually go back up here and just change A as it is. So this was 1, 1, 1, 13. I got smart and wrote this down elsewhere so that you don't have to get dizzy watching me go back and forth. So 0, 1, negative 1, 3. And then negative 2, 0, 1, 0. All right. So the nice part about this is it is still keeping my RREF A. So, but it changed it accordingly. So now my answer is 2, 7, and 4. Okay. Remember, your answer is always the last column after these are turned into what's called our identity matrix, where ones go down the diagonal. Our last column is the answer. So x equals 2, y equals 7, z equals 4. It is possible to write that as points 2, 7, and 4. All right, so now you try it, and then we will do